Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. As I mentioned before, I am a revert and I'm a convert to Islam. So today I would like to talk about Jesus in the Quran and in what Muslims believe about him, but I also would briefly like to talk about what Christians believe as well, because I believe everyone could learn from this to know the similarities, because I do know a lot about both of the stories, so I might as well share my knowledge. In addition to saying that Muslims believe in Jesus, I also want to emphasize that as a Muslim, we do have to believe that the Torah and the Gospel were a book that was sent to prophets from God. We literally have all of the same prophets that Christians have. I know that's very hard to believe, but the only thing that is different is that we have Prophet Muhammad. I would like to emphasize again that Muslims believe in Jesus. We love Jesus so much, and we can't even be Muslim really if we don't believe in Jesus, because that's one of our stepping stones to our religion. The only significant difference between Muslims and Christians is that we do not believe Jesus is the Son of God, and we also do not believe that Jesus was crucified. We believe that he was almost crucified, but not crucified. We also even believe that Jesus will come back on the day of judgment and bring us all to heaven and fight the Antichrist. We do believe that Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary. There's a whole surah or chapter called Maryam, which talks a lot about Jesus. But we do see Jesus as merely a prophet, and let me explain why. If you look at the other miracle births, you will see that Adam was created by God. All God said was be, and Adam was created. That's what we believe happened exactly to Jesus. You see that Adam was born with no mother, no father. He was just created. Eve, she was created just from the rib, but she didn't have a mother. She was just created from Adam. Same with Jesus. He was just created from Maryam without a father, because God just said be, and it was. I also want to say that we do not see Prophet Muhammad as a God, and we do not see Jesus as a God. Like some Christians believe that Jesus is God himself. And Jesus not only is the Son of God, but he is God himself. Which there are actually several verses in the Bible, which I'm going to quote here, that say specifically Jesus is saying, do not bow down to me, I am not God, don't worship me like a God. Examples of this are in Luke 4:8, Revelation 19:10, and 22:9. These are just to name a few. As I stated before, Jesus was talked about in the chapter of Maryam. This is because his mother was Maryam, or what we also call Maryam in English is Mary. One of the stories that is in the Quran talks about how when Jesus was just a small child and he was in the cradle, he spoke out to people because people were saying bad things about Maryam. Maryam, how could you have a child with no father? You gave birth to a child who is like a bastard child, essentially. And Jesus actually spoke out. And Jesus was like 2 days old, and as most of you know, when babies are just a few days old, they only cry and make weird sounds. They don't speak, especially not in full sentences. In the Quran, it said that Jesus said, God will give me a book, which we know as the Gospel. He made me a prophet, and God bless me and peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I will die, and the day I will be resurrected. The Quran also states that Jesus was given the laws of God, and that he was given the gospel in scripture. So in chapter Al-Ma'idah, we see that Jesus affirmed the Torah and the Gospels. This is verse 46. And also in chapter Maryam, verse 29 to 33, it states that God commanded Jesus to pray and give charity through his whole life. I know that it says several times throughout the Bible that Jesus gave charity, he fed the poor, he prostrated when he prayed, as Muslims prostrate when we pray. Again, in chapter Ma'idah, it said that God blessed Jesus with a table full of food from the sky. This is in verses 112 and 115. This is referred to as the Last Supper, is when God gave a table full of food to Jesus and his disciples. This is the exact same story as it is in Quran, as it is in the Bible. This is the dinner that he enjoyed the night before he was said to be resurrected. Also, in addition to this, several chapters in the Quran talks about Jesus having disciples, which I know this is essentially what the whole New Testament of the Bible is written around, is the disciples and the followers of Jesus and what they had to say about Jesus. Earlier I said that we do not believe that Jesus was crucified, but we believe he was almost crucified. So let me explain the story of what it says in the Quran. In chapter An-Nisa, verses 157, it points out that Jesus was not crucified, as Christians believe. Because think of it this way, God would never let a prophet die in such a horrible way, because back in the day, to be crucified on a cross was like the worst thing. That was for people who raped other people, people who committed really bad crimes like murder. I don't think God would ever do that to a prophet, especially his son. Even though I know John 3:16 says what it says, I just don't feel that God would do that to his own child. Christians believe that Jesus was crucified and then he died, and then he was put in a tomb, and then he was raised to God. What we believed happened is a little bit different. What we actually believe in is the person who was on the cross was not Jesus. God replaced Jesus with Judah, in Arabic known as Yahud. So Judah was put on the cross, and he was to made and look exactly like Jesus. To resemble him 100%, God made him look like Jesus 100%. And he put him on the cross. The reason why he did this, obviously because he didn't want Jesus to die, and because Judah, Yahud, he betrayed Jesus very badly in a bad way, and I know Christians believe this too. This is in the Bible, that Jesus was betrayed by Judah. So God punished Judah for this. He replaced Jesus with Judah, and he made Judah look exactly like Jesus. This is in the Quran. This is exactly what we believe. Like I said, this is in chapter An-Nisa, verses 157. As I said in the beginning, Jesus will be coming on the day of judgment to bring us all to heaven, prepare us for heaven, and he will help us fight the Antichrist with all the other people who follow the Abrahamic religions, or somebody who follows just the belief in one God. That is who's going to be fighting the Antichrist. The name for that in Arabic is called El-Masiha El-Dajjal. So in the day that Jesus is said to come back, it's actually a really beautiful story, the way Muslims believe it, is that he's going to be coming from the sky in eastern Damascus. So you can see Jesus coming down with each of his hands on an angel, and people are going to see him. He's going to be having a robe of 2 different colors, and they're going to be lightly dyed with saffron, so that could possibly mean it's going to be like an off-white color. And he's going to be having each hand an angel, and he's going to be coming down on the angels. People are going to see him coming from the top of a tower, atop of a mosque. And his head, his perspiration, his sweat is going to look like pearls to everyone. So when he shakes his head, they're going to fall off and roll down his face like pearls. That's exactly what you're going to see. I think that's a very beautiful way to see Jesus. Anyways, thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to put them below. I will try to answer them, and I will try to cover them in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Assalamu alaikum.